Hi, Zesties. Well, okay, I'm sorry that my food is not so visible. But as you can tell, I'm moving, and one of the things that did not make it with me was the, what's it called? Stand. It, wouldn't fit in my trunk, so... Well, I have a story for you guys, and in true Evan Zesty fashion, what better way to tell you than with a mukbang, right? So, this is the story of why I moved from Florida to Mississippi. If you're an OG Zesty and you've been following me for a while, you know I've mentioned before moving to Mississippi once I started having housing problems. And you know something I love about Mississippi already? Ooh, Whataburger is so good. That jalapeno ranch. In-N-Out could never. In-N-Out could never. And this is Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper Blackberry Milkshake. Wow, guys, Whataburger is so freaking incredible. And I got the special, which was, or the limited edition burger. And to be honest, I cannot remember what it is or what it's called. But anyway, so how to even begin with this whole story? So I was living in a studio in St. Pete. Now I regret wholeheartedly leaving the studio because it was the only $1,000 studio in St. Pete. But then I had a proposal to live in this beach house with friends. And I just, I really wanted to live in the beach house and live with friends. I thought it would be a good idea. Whataburger is so incredible, you guys. Oh my god. But yeah, Mississippi has a ton of fast food. I've never seen quite a fast food selection like this. And they're 24/7. So anyway, I definitely now feel that there were some red flags about the situation that I should have, thought about. This older man that we were living with, I feel like he's been overcharging my friend for years. However, this place was not his, it was his neighbors / friends. And we're all sharing this place together, so I just thought, whatever, I literally thought, well, worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out, I'll just move to Mississippi. Because I had already been, like I said, if you're an OG Zesty, you know that I've been thinking about doing this. So there was this fourth room. I was paying $1,400 in rent, but the rent was supposed to go down to $1,000 each. once we acquired this fourth roommate. However, when I entered the house, they put the full responsibility on me of finding the roommate. I'm talking 100% of the how did I forget the word already? 100% of the responsibility on me. And that was very stressful to me, because I already have all kinds of stuff going on. I have this upcoming surgery that now is going to get put off another year. But quite frankly, I guess I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. I just don't want to be abused by anybody. You know, I was abused for 16 years of my life. As an adult, I don't let anybody abuse me. I also now believe in emotional abuse, which I didn't believe in before. I used to think, oh, that's dramatic. They have to be hitting you or whatever. Oh, well, I believe in emotional abuse now. So anyway, they put 100% of the responsibility of finding a roommate on me. And at first we were charging too much. The older man is just a total ripper-offer. So at first we were charging too much, even though I agreed with it to try to find, but I was trying to, I don't know. When I made the ad, I just asked the guy, oh, how much do we charge? $1,200. Okay, whatever. But they also wanted, the perfect roommate. No women, only men, which, to be honest, I agree to an extent, because, well, we're 3 men. I feel like, it would be better for 4 men to live with each other than 3 men and a woman. I don't know, but anyway. We just weren't having luck finding a roommate. We found a perfect roommate, but he had a dog. And we didn't really have space for a dog, and already had cats in the house, and I was just having difficulty finding a roommate for $1,200 and trying to find the perfect roommate. And not all of that is their fault, because I also wanted to find the perfect roommate, but then when it didn't happen, it was okay, well, we just need to get whoever can come in here and can pay and is not crazy. So I still can't get over how good Whataburger is. It has to be the best hamburger, fast food hamburger. But okay, so one day I voiced my frustration with the situation of not having found the fourth roommate and paying $1,400 in rent, And before I was paying $10.50, and to be honest, like, the utilities were included, so it wasn't horrible in Florida. Like, that price, even though it sounds insane, is, like, not terrible in Florida. But, like, you know, I just kind of assumed or thought that it would be easier to find a roommate and I would be paying the $1,000 or whatever. And so I said, oh, I'll leave if we can't find a roommate or something like that. But I kind of wanted to light a fire under their you-know-whats and be like, hey, you guys help me too. Like, it was completely unfair that they put 100% of the responsibility of finding the roommate on me. That was totally unfair. You know what I mean? There definitely was no gratitude on their parts either, you know. Not that it was horribly difficult. Oh! Shit. Oh, sorry for cussing. Well, hey, God bless them. They gave me another ranch. I'll just have to make sure not to drop this one. And I'm already missing the 727 and the crabs and whatever, but once you hear the full story. Now, you know, so when I said that, like, oh, I'll leave if we can't find a roommate, this angered the guy. From what I've heard now after leaving, he says that because I said that, that made him want to, like, make me leave or something. Like, that angered him and made him want to say, okay, you're gonna leave. I'm gonna, like, mistreat you until you leave. Kind of thing. Instead of saying, oh, you know, I'll run an ad too, or I'll do something to help acquire a roommate, or hey, don't worry, we can, you know, lower the price or be less selective or whatever. It was just, let's mistreat Evan, right? So, I'm gonna dip the burger in this jalapeno ranch. I think they gave it to me for free too. Mississippi doesn't play. Mississippi doesn't play. But anyway, so like a week or two later, when I was running a cheaper ad and being less selective, because I was kind of like, well, whatever, we just need someone in here, and I had people texting me trying to come and see the place and everything. This guy says we need to talk to me, my other friend, and him. And he says something like, you know, oh, I might buy this place, but if I don't, you guys have to leave in 2 weeks. But if I do, I want to use that 4th room as a guest room. And I was just kind of already like, oh, well, I'm kind of like on my way out already. If anyone threatens, like, oh, you have to leave or whatever, you know. And even at the end of his whole spiel, he said, oh, and I'm doing this because Evan said he wanted to leave. So he was already saying that whatever, you know, abuse he was hurling at me was because of, you know, what I had said. And I'm like, well, that's giant red flag if, like, you know, I express unhappiness with the living situation, right? Then I'm like punished. So I can't question anything, you know? And I was just like, wow, that's extremely toxic, you know? And so I was just kind of like, oh, well, you know, it is what it is. I have to, like, find a new place, right? And now I'm like, I should have tried harder to find a place, but I'm tired. Like, I've been struggling so hard in Florida for, like, ever since the crazy roommates, like, started ruining my life in my apartment in Tampa. See, I was hoping to stay in that apartment in Tampa permanently. But ever since that, well, actually, I would have been fine had I stayed in my studio in St. Pete, but whatever, I didn't. So anyway, I'm trying to think of something else he did that was, like, abusive. That was the first thing. Oh, well, so he said he wanted to use his fourth bedroom as a guest room. Not to mention, we were originally supposed to rent out the suite, and he just came in and took the suite and didn't want to pay the fair share for it. The suite should cost more than the regular rooms. So he just came in right into the suite and didn't want to pay the extra. But I was overlooking it because I just wanted the living situation to work, and I really loved living by the beach, and it was really nice. So I just kind of overlooked it. But then he said, I want this, you know, guest room. And I'm thinking, well, you know, he better pay for said guest room. But because he, like, basically punished me or threatened me, and my other roommate, I don't know why my other roommate puts up with it. I feel he's getting abused and he has, like, Stockholm syndrome over it. But no one's gonna abuse me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just not. Like I said, I was abused for 16 years. I won't, as an adult, allow anybody to abuse me. I feel like that's a big reason I'm single. I'm very perceptive of the abusive traits, and the second I see it, So anyway, he didn't want to pay for the room that he was claiming to be his guest room. So, you know, he was paying the same exact price of rent as me and my friend for one singular room. And he was getting the suite and a spare room. So I was just like, well, that's crazy unfair and abusive. And he already showed that you cannot speak up to him. You know, and I kind of started understanding, well, he's friends with the landlord, so he can do whatever he wants. And then now he's buying the place, and I was thinking, oh gosh, well, what is he going to charge me, and how is he going to treat me once he buys the place? You know, pretty much this guy showed signs of being totally, like, abusive. You know, like, I'm going to charge you whatever I want, and you better not do any questioning, because I'm going to, like, punish you or whatever. You know, so the day he gave me, I started saying I'm gay, disabled, and homeless and stuff. The day that he gave me that talk of, like, oh, you have to leave in 2 weeks or whatever, you know. So, you know, when I think, like, I don't know if it's only been a month or two or what, but, like, you know, this time around they were like, oh, it's time to pay rent. And now I feel like I should have talked to this guy and tried to talk him out. Tried to talk it out with them, but like I said, you know, that guy had made me feel really uncomfortable by him like punishing me and claiming that the reason he punished me was because I said that I was gonna leave. You know, that's like total abuse. Like, think about it. If you're like a woman in an abusive relationship or something, that's total abuse. I'm doing something that makes you want to leave, but you can't say you want to leave or I'm gonna like punish you or something or cause you some harm, right? So anyway, when they were like, oh, it's time for the rent. Okay, how much is the rent? $13.88. So we were splitting it equally in 3. So me and my friend were paying the same price for one room as he was paying for a suite and an extra room. And I was just kind of like, you know what? F this, I'm out. Like, I'd been talking for a while about coming to Mississippi. Well, now here I am. Here I am. And you know, I thought about going back, like, because I love Pinellas County. I love the crabs there. I was getting so much love on my videos. I was getting recognized. Getting offered free crabs and stuff. However, you know, that's just abusive to try to get away with that. You paying the same price we're paying for a suite and an extra room that we're paying for singular rooms. You forbade me from renting the room out. Then when they caught wind that I was leaving, they were like, oh, maybe you can rent the room out. Maybe we, you know, like, they were giving me like a wishy-washy answer of maybe you can rent the room out and stay, or maybe you can't, or whatever. I was just like, you know, this situation is just weird. I don't trust this older man. I feel like he's abusive and evil and whatever. And I just don't want to deal with it. And especially now knowing that he was saying that when I said that I wanted to leave. And remember, that was because they put 100% of the responsibility of finding a roommate on me, which I found to be very, like, unfair. They should have helped out too. You know, he said that when I said I wanted to leave, that made him want to cause me to leave. Like, that angered him and made him want to, like, treat me in a way that would make me leave. Like, he didn't want me to stay there anymore or whatever. So it's just kind of like, you know, it sucks because I was about to get the surgery, but then again, what if now I get the surgery, I'm in like an immobilized state or like semi-mobilized state. I'm so mad I dropped the ranch. And then he kicks me out. What do I do then? Then I won't be able to get in my car and drive out here. You know, I feel like it's kind of just when you're in a situation where you feel that you're like living in the home of an abuser, an abusive person, it's kind of just better to, once you realize, you know, like for example, there was a time where I did not realize that he was abusive, but once I realized it, I was kind of like, it's better with those types to just make a smooth exit, you know what I mean? So, yeah. And this sucks too, because, you know, these guys were my friends, like, good friends for many years. However, I mean, I still am totally good friends with one of them. It's just that I'm not willing to be abused and mistreated or any of that type of stuff. I'm definitely not willing to be ripped off. Or, you know, just everything that was going on. Ripped off and forced to be quiet because I was being punished when I spoke up earlier. And, like, the whole, like, you know, this guy's just totally abusive. Financially. And, like I said, I used to not believe in emotional abuse. I thought women who said that were being, like, dramatic. I thought, like, no, he has to be hitting you. Another thing, too. I hate to say this, but I always said I would never live with another gay man, and I broke my rule. Because they can be very mean and vicious, and every time I've lived with a gay man before, it was this way. But this guy's very masculine, and he's bisexual. But I guess it's the same thing. But, you know, I kind of just ignored all the red flags. I'm not saying all gay men are red flags. You can live with them if you want. I've just had troubles in the past with them. But, you know, I broke that rule, and I was thinking the other day, like, dang, so when I said I'll leave if we don't get another roommate or whatever, you know, instead of saying, okay, I'll try to help, I'll try to do this or that, he said, nope, I'm going to hold a grudge against this guy, and I am going to mistreat him and everything until he leaves. Because that angered me. I'm like, that level of, I'm not even sure what the word is for that. But, you know, that's not heterosexual male behavior. That's like the level of vindication or vindictiveness. That's the word. That's the level of vindictiveness that only a gay man can have. Like, you know what I mean? But it just sucks, man. I really wish things could have been different. I really wish I stayed in my studio. That's for sure. But, you know, what was I supposed to do? Like, if I stayed there, I was going to just have to keep paying the $1,400 with my mouth shut, which I didn't really want to do. That's not what I originally agreed to. You know, they tried to say, oh, maybe we'll let you rent the room out as a way to get me from leaving. But, you know, look at how that worked the first time. You guys complicated it and then threatened to kick me out. And, you know, with the whole threatened to kick out thing, it's like, once you do that, my trust in you is gone and stuff. And, you know, once you go back on your word and stuff, your word doesn't mean anything to me anymore. So, you know, to be honest, like, I am depressed. I do miss Florida. I miss St. Pete. I miss the 727. I miss all the wonderful, beautiful people there. And the crabs. You know, but I just didn't know what to do. I felt like I was in an abusive household, and I just didn't want that. So I left. And my videos were doing really well out there, and now it makes me really sad. But hey, you never know. What if this is a good change for me? Because imagine now, if I really want to, from here I can do New Orleans. And yes, I say it wrong, New Orleans. I can do New Orleans, I can do Lafayette, I can do Mississippi or Alabama. Like, there are... What if this is where I blow up? You know, you never know. You just never know. Even though I got my first viral video in the room I was living at with them, and gosh, that was such a big, beautiful room and right on the ocean. Like, I really loved it. But I was being overcharged for it. The guy wasn't paying his fair share, and he was being very, like, abusive. I felt he had, like, a lot of abusive traits and tendencies and stuff. So I just left. I don't want to be abused. I was abused for 16 years. I refuse, as an adult, I just refuse to be in an abusive situation. And even though this means now I'm going to have to wait until next year to get my surgery, which really sucks. I really wanted to do it this year. I just kind of felt like I had to go. And like I said, imagine being in this situation where this guy has so much power over me, and he's already shown to be, like, vindictive and stuff. So what if he's waiting for me to get the surgery, and then he's going to kick me out? Or then, you know what I mean? Like, the situation was just very bad and toxic, and I felt like I had to leave. So I left. And here we are. Pray for me, Zesties. Oh, Lord, wait, I'm actually trying Jesus now. I'll do my first prayer. I know you hate me, Lord. I know you hate me, Lord, but please provide me with guidance, strength, protection. Because the enemy is strong, Lord, but I am stronger with you, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. There's my first attempt at a prayer. Sorry if it's blasphemous. My attempts at prayers before have resulted in blasphemous prayers. But anyway, bye, Zesties.